Welcome to Growing Pains and Gains, the podcast where 5 lifelong friends navigating life across 3 states, Nebraska, Kansas, and Texas, share their real, raw, and often hilarious takes on everything under the sun. Join us as we embrace the growing pains and celebrate the gains that comes with life's journey.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
I'm Alex.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Catherine.
And I'm Maria.
All right. So Audra's out for the next couple weeks due to her jaw surgery. She's having it tomorrow. But by the time you guys listen to this, it will be over with and she'll be on her way to recovery. So if you could send her your good vibes and prayers, that would be much appreciated.
Yes.
Yes. Today we have our first guest, my cousin Michelle Tholen.
Hey, Michelle.
She's going to be talking to us.
Welcome.
She's going to be talking gut health with us today. But first, I just kind of wanted to talk about, Michelle and I are the same age. So we grew up, at our grandma's playing together. And when we grew up and when we went away to college, me, Maria, and Michelle, all three went to Emporia. And then Michelle and Maria both dipped out on me and left me.
We said peace out.
Yep. They both ended up at Pitt State and they became pretty inseparable there. So
Yes, we did.
a classic Maria story that Michelle tells the best is that one time Maria was doing laundry and she hung some of her laundry up and she hung it on, well, first of all, Maria lived in a 3rd floor apartment. So that's very crucial to this story. But she hung her laundry up on one of the fire, like in a hotel where they'll have the fire extinguisher.
Like where the water, it's like the water, but like.
It's like the sprinkler system.
Yeah, the sprinkler system that So Maria hung some of her laundry up on one of those. And if you ever look at those, they have a tiny little piece of glass in it that if it gets hot, it busts. And that's how it works. So Michelle, take over.
So I had just left Maria and I left my phone for probably 20 minutes. And I looked down and I'm like, why did Maria call me like 20 times? So I call her. She's in sheer panic. She's like, you got to get over here right now. So I don't know what to expect. So I show up at her apartment. She's wearing like white pants. At this time, they're pink or red from all the water that was coming out. Her roommate was out. And so Maria was trying to save everything in her roommate's apartment. There was so much water in the apartment. Maria was completely soaked. One of her
looked like a
legs
drowned
was rolled
rat.
up.
You said.
One
Mascara
was
going
just
down
like
her face.
her hair was everywhere. Mascara was everywhere. Her roommate's out. She has stuff just like as much as she could get out of the apartment. She did. Her poor roommate was gone. And so I think she saved her laptop, I recall, and everything. And then shortly after, it was,
the sirens were going off
from that.
through the entire apartment complex. And fire trucks came.
So did everyone like evacuate?
Apartments below? Didn't it flood the apartments below?
It went to the first floor apartment, all the way down to the first floor.
How much damage was done, Maria? Because I remember it was like thousands of dollars.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know.
Poor David.
Thankfully, I think insurance, some was covered, but oh my gosh, guys. It was, and we had to be out of our apartment for, I don't know how long because they had to bring in fans and pull up the carpet.
There was so much water that it flooded your whole apartment.
It did its job.
It did its job. Yes.
So no drying those clothes that day.
There was
No.
Oh, it was. I think I was in a hurry because we were getting ready to go out that night, and so I just grabbed him down and and then all of a sudden I thought, I thought I blew up the place because it just. Oh, it was so.
Pretty much did.
Yeah.
My other favorite story, if you guys don't mind me telling, was whenever the ice storm happened.
Oh my gosh. I was going to tell this one too.
I had an assignment that was due and I didn't get it done. And so Maria's like, I'll just call your professor and I'll leave him a message and I'll pretend that I'm you. And I was like, that's perfect because I was so nervous to call. So Maria's like, we're rehearsing what she's going to say. And then she goes to call and she leaves a voicemail message forgetting that it was for me. And so she tells her name first, like, it's Michelle Tholen.
Oh my God. That is so funny. So
I'm
did the
glad you told
professor
it, though. He's probably like, these idiots.
I was going to tell that one next too. That one's my favorite.
I can't remember. Were you free from your Like, were you okay with the assignment? You guys have a better
Yeah,
budget than I do.
he authorized it. He's like, "That's fine. No problem." I was like, "Okay." Shocked.
Once
So
again, you
funny.
guys just wanted to go out though, right?
Yes, we did. In the shark. Was that when I had
Yeah.
was that when I had the Lincoln? Remember the big white Lincoln and
Yeah,
slide
the
around?
funeral home car, and she was
Yeah.
peeling out in the parking lots of it, and yeah.
Okay, so the reason why we have Michelle, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Why we
Yeah.
chose you for our first guest?
Yeah.
Like they said, my name's Michelle Tholen. I am a registered nurse now, mental health nurse practitioner. I've been a registered nurse for over 10 years, and I knew nothing about gut health at all whatsoever. I suffer from severe anxiety since I was a little kid, and my mom failed to mention this to me until I was pretty much failing nursing school. She's like, "Oh, you actually have test anxiety." Your second grade teacher had let me know, and I was like, "This would have been great to like inform me of." So, anyways, I also had a lot of stomach issues. I never went to the bathroom ever. I think Maria went with me
Never.
to one of my appointments in
Yes.
college. And they're like, increase your fiber. But it was very normal for me to like go maybe once a week. When I would travel, it's like once every 2 weeks. So they talked in my early 20s about doing a colonoscopy and then medications, and that's pretty much it. And then I moved to Virginia. Anxiety, as I approached my late 20s, was getting way worse. And I'd went for my annual exam, and at this time I was like exercising, watching what I was eating, right? They say you do those two things and you're going to feel great. Still very constipated, bloated all the time. And so I went to my doctor and for my annual exam and broke down. I was like, I'm anxious. I don't know why, because there were so many great things going on in my life. I had a great job. I loved Virginia and I had a great support group there. And so for me, I just couldn't ever pinpoint it. Always felt like an elephant was on my chest.
Mm.
And so she was like, "We'll get you some Zoloft. We'll prescribe Klonopin." For those of you that don't know what those two medications are, Zoloft is a common antidepressant that can help with anxiety. That's safe to take every day. And then Klonopin is a benzodiazepine, so could be habit forming. Usually, we really don't prescribe it much in psychiatry anymore. I don't see it, only severe cases of anxiety. And so I was like, dang, I don't know if I want to start something in my 20s, but I've made it this far. But my mom suffers from depression. And so for me, behind closed doors growing up and into my adulthood, I had seen the highs and lows that she faced. So my faith wasn't fully all in medications.
Mhm.
And so I decided I was not going to. I was going to kind of explore other options. And so I didn't know, and this is one thing with nursing is we're not taught really anything about supplements. We kind of view it as snake oil. And for me, I was really against supplements. And around this time, I started seeing more about gut health. And I thought, well, maybe I could try some gut health products and maybe that would help. I don't know, just to get me going. I didn't know it would help with my anxiety.
Mhm.
So I started a gut health combo back in 2015. And I had noticed early on I was going every single day. And I was like, this is so strange. Like, but it couldn't be the supplements. I was still like discrediting that. And about 90 days into my journey of kind of correcting and improving my gut health, my anxiety was gone. Like there wasn't that elephant on my chest. And I was like, wait a minute. I've went to all these doctors, so what's in these products? So I started doing a deep dive into ingredients, learning more about gut health. And for me, it was just a huge eye opener. And so that's kind of what led me to go on to becoming a mental health nurse practitioner because I feel like I have a bigger voice to at least educate and
Yeah.
ask about gut health and provide other alternatives in addition to medications because I do think that there's a time and place for medications, but it's also a really great tool that we're talking about in looking at gut health. And so for me, I just wanted a bigger platform. And so what a goal that I have is over time to go back on more of the holistic side for certifications to kind of tie in, okay, we're going to prescribe you Zoloft. Prescribing Zoloft, there's common um, nutrient deficiencies of X, Y, and Z, and be able to provide that education if they choose and they want to add supplements in with a prescription medication, they can, but at least they have that education and information of common deficiencies that Zoloft could cost. So that is kind of my goal in the years to come, to kind of have a bigger platform, but on the holistic side of things tied into prescribing. So,
Wow.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
it
that
really
so
is.
much, Michelle. I
Mhm.
teared up a little bit when you said your anxiety was gone. I mean, that's
I know.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I
And
can
I
imagine
can
what
say
that
from
felt like.
firsthand, her anxiety when we were in school was, I mean, over the and you didn't even really know it, but now looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, you did
Yeah, I
have
would overanalyze everything. I would do the
everything.
what ifs. And so to have relief from that, for me, it was, if I don't know this as a nurse, and I can tell you in grad school, we were not really taught it. That was actually one of my projects as we wrapped up the semester, was I did a project over gut health to provide that education to my peers that were going to be
Yeah.
new practitioners, because I knew that they had no idea and they didn't. But it's
Mhm.
something to talk about because there's more research, more studies coming out, thank goodness.
Right.
And so, it's something I'm very passionate about, and something that I just want to get out there so people are aware that there's other options and other additional tools that they can add with medications, diet, exercise, whatever you may be doing. Because it is, I always say to my patients, it's multiple puzzle pieces. Medication's 40%. So what are we doing with the 60%?
Wow.
Yeah. I
Right.
love that.
Mhm.
Awesome.
I love
And I
that
don't even think of it like that.
functional medicine is becoming more popular than ever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something, I always try to paper trail it with people I see. Okay, when did your symptoms start?
Mhm.
And can we paper trail it to what happened? Was there something that happened? Because my thing is this, it's great for medications. Medications, serve their time and place, but it's really a band-aid. So what's the underlying factor? What's causing this? Is it genetics? Is it food? Is
Right.
it stress? Is it, because there's things in our lives where we should feel sad. And that's what I have that conversation with my teenagers about. I'm like, if there's a breakup or a loss or something that's happened, you should be able to go through the emotions and not feel numb. That's important.
Yeah.
And it's
Mhm.
important to have the tools to be able to process, And so, because I have some that are like, I just want to be numb. And I'm like, I can't do that.
Can't do
Yeah.
that. It's not
You have
enough.
to
It's not life.
process and stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Totally. Okay. So do we want to have Michelle do her 2 truths and a lie, and we can try and
Yes.
guess what the lie is? So just a little kind of get to know you.
We're gonna put her in the hot seat.
Okay. Okay. So I am left-handed. When I was little, would lead steers, like 1,200-pound steers in the arena.
Oh.
And I recently went on a trip to Arizona and Utah, and I hiked 155 miles during the time that I was away.
You're left-handed is the lie.
No, I think that you showed steers.
I'll go with the
I-
steers too.
Or you hiked more than
trying to-
155 miles.
She's
You
not
gotta pick
left-handed.
one. Look, she's not left-handed. That's what you said, Maria?
I don't think so. I was trying to think back in the day what hand it's used.
It's something you don't really pay attention to, right?
Yeah.
You did
Right.
a good job because
Yeah.
I think yeah. I thought they were all
Okay.
truths.
Yeah.
Which one's
So
the
which
lie?
one's the lie?
Oh.
So I hiked 150 miles, not 155.
Oh,
You tricked us like Chelsea and her
I
sourdough.
know. Of course you guys
Well,
are
some of it
related.
I was like, I think Chelsea's gonna know this. Mom was helping me with it. I was like, I think Chelsea's gonna know some of these. So
Yeah.
because the
You did
steers I was in
good.
4-H for a long time. So yeah.
You did good.
You did good.
I remember
Okay.
going to your house and the little baby cows and letting them suck on our fingers because they didn't have any teeth.
Yeah.
They were so cute.
The
Aw.
best. Yeah.
Okay, so before we dive in a little bit more into gut health, we're going to stick with our hot topic. So for this week, our hot topic is Wendy Williams. I don't know if everyone is familiar with her. She is 60. I feel like this is kind of relevant to the conversation. So she's 60 years old, and in 2023, she was diagnosed with aphasia. I don't know if I'm saying that right. APHASIA and frontal temporal lobe dementia. And
I think it's important to say, I'm just going to cut you off right there. That's the same type of dementia that Bruce Willis has. So
yes.
keep going.
Yes. And so I wrote out here, aphasia is a language disorder that affects a person's ability to communicate. And it's usually either onset by like a brain injury, trauma, or a disorder like dementia. So because of that, she has been under a court-ordered conservatorship since 2022 that is similar to Britney Spears. Her words, she says it's similar to Britney Spears. And it claims that she is cognitively impaired. Wendy says she is not. She says that she is not cognitively impaired and that she should not be under the conservatorship. But she currently lives in an assisted living unit or assisted living facility on a memory care unit because of her dementia. And on March 10th, she dropped a note from the upper level window that just said help exclamation point, Wendy exclamation point. And someone picked up the note and saw it and called in a welfare check for her. So the police came and took her to the hospital. And she says that she asked for an independent mental capacity test and that she says that she passed with flying colors. I keep saying she says because this is not like confirmed. We don't know for sure, like if she did the test, if she passed, but this is what she's saying. She has a caretaker and she has a court appointed guardian, and her caretaker wants her to have like a formal official medical evaluation. So that kind of makes me think that whatever was done in the hospital maybe wasn't official or something, because since
Right.
then her caretaker has said she wants her to get one. But the guardian said, but the guardian has only spoken out through her lawyers. She hasn't talked like independently. And her guardian's lawyers say that Wendy is cognitively impaired and permanently incapacitated, but Wendy denies the claims. So it's kind of a little bit about what's going on with her right now. And if you don't know who she was, or who she is, I should say, she was a daytime talk show host for more than a decade. And before she was a talk show host, she was on a radio show, and the format was kind of similar to the Howard Stern show, if anyone's familiar with that. And in her talk show, she had a segment. I should mention this for our podcast. In her talk show, she had a segment where she talked about pop culture and she called that Hot Topics. So apparently she did it before we did, or we just picked a good name for it. So I thought that was funny. And then in her, I don't know if it was during the talk show host or during the radio show, but in the article I was reading, it said that she has previously had famous feuds with people like Beyonce, Whitney Houston, and P. Diddy. And she was fired from her radio show because she posted a doctored image of P. Diddy in a compromising position with a man on her website. And this was before all the P. Diddy drama.
Yeah.
I know. And then after she was released from the hospital from the recent welfare check, she phoned and was on The View, the daytime talk show, and she said that the judge and the guardian need to get off her neck. So that's what I know. And this is all just from different articles, on E! Online and People and all of that. But I know there's been documentaries and I have not watched those. So Chelsea, Michelle, anyone who's watched those, is there anything else in there?
Well, I think that she was like an alcoholic and she was struggling with that when she was diagnosed with the dementia. So my question is, Michelle, could like she have been misdiagnosed with dementia like while she's struggling with the throes
Alcohol
of addiction,
abuse?
and now that she's
Depending on
sober,
what
like
testing was done, usually depending on the extent of the drinking, it can cause memory deficits.
That's a good point.
And so a lot of times, like thiamine, people would be deficient in that. And so that can cause a lot of memory issues. So I would say, yeah, it definitely could be a thing where it could be misdiagnosed, or it could be one that kind of led to it. I would like to know what testing specifically she's had done.
And it says that this certain type of dementia, like, is more of like affects your behavior and your speech, I guess, rather than your memory at first. So I just think that it's so sad that she's on a memory unit with like she says that she's on there with like 70, 80, and 90-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
And if she's like knows what's going on, that's so sad.
I
And she
know.
can't leave. Like
Well,
she
and she
literally
could
walked in there.
technically have someone come in and care for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
Right.
why she has to be there. I mean, I'm assuming her guardian
Yeah,
said that
I'm
she had
sure
to be
it's like,
there.
yeah. And she said that she pays $18,000 a month for that place
Oh
Wow.
my
Jeez.
God.
out of
They're
her
totally
money,
just taking
but she doesn't wanna
advantage
be
of her.
And doesn't even,
I
I
feel
know.
like.
I mean, it makes you wonder. And I've just, the older I get, I question everything. And you can't just believe everything that's right there on the surface. Like, what people tell you. I don't know. It just,
Mhm.
it makes me really
I
wonder.
know. I know.
But
But I
also at
will
the same
say,
time, were you gonna say like we don't want to let her go like Britney
yes,
Spears?
that's what I was gonna say.
Yes,
That,
because
like,
you guys tried to convince me that Britney needed to be freed. And then I was
yes,
like, I
I
don't
was
know.
gonna say I'm gonna not be so quick to say free Wendy because I was all about free Britney, and now Britney needs to go back under the
Well, I just don't think Britney should have been being controlled by her family.
Yeah,
And I
sure.
think that it's better that this person is like, it's not somebody that's just taking all of her money. Like Britney was paying all those people
Yeah.
and not able to spend her own money.
Yeah.
Whereas like this is a court appointed one. And I don't know, maybe she's making money off of it too, but
I would
I don't know.
think. Yeah. I don't know.
know.
But yeah, I was gonna say the same
Anyways.
thing. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that's crazy. That's what's going on with Wendy. Okay, so we have some different questions that we are going to ask Michelle related to gut health. Chelsea, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah. So our first question was just what is gut health and why is it so important to our overall health and well being? And I think you kind of answered that already, talking about
Yeah.
how big it was for you.
Yeah, one thing that I always tie in though, and of course with our gut health, so it consists of bacteria, fungi, other microorganisms. The thing that blew me away when I started diving into gut health is that it's really like our second brain, and I'll kind of tie this into other questions that you'll ask, but over 70% of our immune function is in our gut. And over 90% of our serotonin, so that's like our happy chemicals, right? Is also produced in our gut. And then a large percentage of melatonin also in our gut. And so if our gut health is disrupted, it can be like a domino effect.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Those are just some high percentages.
Yeah.
I fact checked this several times. I was like, I don't know if that's right. But when I did the research in grad school, I was blown away because of how high the number is specifically for serotonin. We think of serotonin in our brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
But such a huge percentage. And for me, that was like an aha moment of, shoot, no wonder I'm so anxious because
Right.
I know everything's disrupted. If I'm not going to the bathroom only once a week, like this is a huge problem.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Michelle, how does gut health impact our energy levels, mood, and our mental clarity?
Okay. So this is one thing, and I'm going to talk about some disruptors because I think that's really important to understand, and this will help to make sense of how it can really impact a lot. So this is also something that people think of, well, I go to the bathroom every single day, like my gut is great. But there's a lot of disruptors, and usually the average person has 85% bad and only 15% good bacteria. Okay, so think about that. There's so many things, especially us in America, that's working against us. So some of those things are antibiotics. While they're really good, antibiotics are like a bomb that goes off, right? So it disrupts and removes the bad and good bacteria. So usually, and oftentimes, that's why we're more susceptible to like a yeast infection after finishing a round of antibiotics because we don't really have that good bacteria to protect us, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
over-the-counter medications, birth control's a big one, prescription medications, alcohol's a big disruptor, in the environment, stress, poor sleep, processed foods. This is why I'm really big, and I always encourage people, look at the ingredients. If there's sucralose, if they're aspartame, those are really two big things that can completely disrupt the gut health.
Hey,
And
what
so
were those?
the artificial
Aspartame
sweeteners, yeah,
and
artificial
like aspartame, sucralose, because they sneak sucralose in anything and everything, and usually they'll deem them as healthy, but they're huge gut health disruptors.
oh
So
wow.
what happens is if we're think about this, even if you're eating clean, there's a lot of things. A lot of us are stressed or we're not sleeping well, or there's just a lot going on, like burning candles, air fresheners, all of that can disrupt the gut health, right?
Really?
And so with that, that bad bacteria loves it. And so that's what it feeds off of. And then from there, it triggers this overgrowth of bad bacteria, which then can trigger the inflammation. Then the inflammation triggers all these other issues. So I always encourage, what's really fascinating, if you Google like gut health and just Google sometime gut health and whatever you're dealing with, and usually it'll have like that's all connected.
Okay. Wow.
That's crazy. I didn't know about all that. Huh. Okay.
Michelle, I actually have two questions I'll ask you back to back, and one is just one that I just thought of. So while you were talking, can you tell us a little bit more about alcohol and how it impacts gut health? Because I think that's something that's not well known.
Yeah. So I always say, one thing I heard someone say a long time ago was it's like poison in a bottle.
Hmm.
We should not be
It
ingesting
literally
it.
is.
Literally.
And from there, and a lot of things do this, but specifically alcohol really disrupts the gut lining by just ruining the lining in a sense. And then from there, it like pokes holes. So if you've heard of like leaky gut syndrome, it'll poke little holes. And that's where a lot of times if you drink alcohol, your whole gut health will be disrupted. And you'll have loose stools and it's just, you'll have bloat, but a lot of times it's just disrupting that lining, just because it is like poison that you're putting in your body. And
Mhm.
so a lot of times that's why people have a lot of stomach upset depending on the alcohol consumption.
Mhm.
Wow.
And then my other question was, what are some common signs that someone's gut health may be out of balance?
Yeah. So I actually wrote this down so I didn't miss anything because it goes beyond just not going to the bathroom. So bloating, gas, irregular bowel movement, so going too much or too little, okay? Food intolerances and or sensitivities, frequent fatigue, like low energy, brain fog, difficulty concentrating, skin issues like acne or eczema, frequent colds and or infections, mood swings, anxiety, depression. So all of that can be signs of your gut health disrupted. So I always say that's why you address or try to get that healthy first and foremost.
Wow.
There
Okay.
was a girl, that posted on Facebook, I won't say her name, but, she she says that she would have, like, several either 1 a year or several, like, major depressive disorders a year, but she always starts out the year with Whole30, and last year she decided to keep it going because she just felt so much better, and, she was like, "I wasn't perfect, but, I definitely stuck with it more than not," and she didn't have one major depressive disorder, episode last year, and I just thought that was so
Oh,
incredible,
yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
that's
Yeah.
I bel
crazy.
one of, there's a doctor I follow on Instagram, and I think he says, like, 90-10, like 90% whole foods and then 10%, because you're not always gonna be perfect. I mean,
Right.
most people
That's
aren't.
what I
Yeah.
always say and I try to follow is like 80-20.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
80% good, 20%, because you have to have that freedom too. And that's where I
Right.
say, like, if you're trying to do it 100%, that's going to stress you out. And that's also not
Right.
going to be good for your gut health. So it's finding that balance and also getting creative with what you're bringing in, like having fun with your foods, healthy foods, so you're not feeling deprived. So learning how to read the ingredients and knowing foods that are known to trigger inflammation is also really important. And I always say, like, just even going on Pinterest, I still use Pinterest, is a great, it'll
Me
give a
too.
whole list of what are common foods that cause inflammation, what are your whole foods. And so that's a good resource right there. Even Googling, I think would be fine just to get a list of foods that are, anti-inflammatory.
Yeah, totally. So speaking of, foods and how it impacts your gut health, how does sugar impact our gut health? And what are the best ways to reduce sugar cravings?
So it kind of goes back to sugar is, usually in a lot of our processed foods. And so that's another thing that bad bacteria in our gut love sugar, feeds off of it. And I always say, understand and know how to read ingredient labels. Look at the added sugar, right?
Mhm.
So this is one thing that really they sneak it in everything, like your ketchup, your pasta, everything.
Mhm.
And so I was really surprised. I was getting just dried mangoes the other day, and there was one kind that was just no added sugar because mango should not have added sugar, right? And
Right.
another kind had it snuck in. So
Mm.
that alone, look for added sugar because I don't want to discredit and say avoid fruits. No, because fruits are good for us, but it's looking at the added sugar and avoiding that because that's a huge disruptor. That's what really feeds that bad bacteria. And that's what, is doing the domino effect from the excess sugar. So I always say, here are some tips I have is shopping outside of the grocery store aisle and
Mhm.
not inside. Because usually if
Oh,
you're
I like
doing
that.
outside, it's going to be like your produce, meats,
Right.
all of that. Where you get inside, it's going to be more of your processed food. So that's a good rule of thumb. And
Yeah.
then again, getting creative with what you're eating. So oftentimes, yes, you can shop and change the way you eat with doing cleaner foods, but at the same time, it's hard if you're not correcting your gut health. And
Mhm.
so for me, what really helped me was getting a good probiotic. And that can be really challenging to know what is a good probiotic. And there's several brands out there that are really good. And what I always look at is who's doing third party testing. Because that usually means like a good quality supplement line if
Sure.
they're doing third party testing. So that's something that I always need to look at. But a probiotic is going to be probably the easiest thing to implement and start. And then there's always foods, right? Your fermented foods like kimchi, yogurt, um, sauerkraut, that's all good, but who wants to be slamming tons of yogurts or whatever it may be? I want something simple, and I think we all need something simple with our busy lives. So
Mhm.
for me, I take my probiotic at bedtime. And one thing, an analogy I always use because a lot of people don't understand how probiotics work is it's best to take at bedtime when you're sleeping and your body's healing. Because think about it, as an example, I'll use Chelsea. So Chelsea's had a party. She has been eating cake. She's super stressed because she's been planning for this party. And this overgrowth of bad bacteria is just going wild in her body. So when she goes to bed that night, the probiotic is like your night shift worker. So it comes in, it's like,
Mm.
whoa, Chelsea's been partying all day. I've got to come in and clean
Exactly.
everything up. So as she's sleeping, it's coming in and it's removing all the trash, AKA the bad bacteria, and it's restocking her gut health, so restocking the shells with the good bacteria as she's resting. So that's what a probiotic does. Now, a prebiotic, and I think this is one of the questions, so I
Mhm.
apologize if I'm
That's
butchering
okay.
this.
Yep. Yep. Nope,
Prebiotic
you're
is
good.
really great too. Probiotic is where I would start. Prebiotic is like miracle grow for your probiotic to flourish. So it's like the food for the probiotic.
Mhm.
And so, but a
Nice.
good place to start is your probiotic. So that would be the first place I would start. And then when your gut health starts healing, you will naturally notice once you get over any detox symptoms, because a lot of times people do experience detox symptoms. And why that is because when your body and your gut starts healing, from there it's removing the bad bacteria. So think about it. Where does the bad bacteria go? Usually it's released into the bloodstream, but then your body's like, whoa, how do I get rid of this? So oftentimes when your body's healing, you'll notice having more bloat. Some people will break out. Some people will notice having higher anxiety. And
Mhm.
I always say just do Epsom salt baths, drink lots of water during that time, but it means the probiotic is working.
Working.
You
Okay.
know, and
Mhm.
so it's getting through that hump and healing. And when that happens, and you get over that hump of the healing, then you'll, at least for me, I noticed I was naturally just going for healthier foods. I was craving water. My sugar cravings decreased. So I wasn't like punishing myself because at one point in time, Diet Cherry Coke was my water intake.
Mhm.
And so I didn't crave water, never drank water, and I haven't had soda in years because it started tasting syrupy for me. And so I would say it has something to do with correcting the underlying cause. And so I always say get to the root cause first. So correcting your gut health can really change a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So, with the prebiotic, you said after you start with the probiotic. So I'm taking a probiotic right now and I have for several years now. should I start adding in a prebiotic then? Like,
I think a prebiotic is good, and you can find that in foods too. I actually wrote down common things that I didn't even know, but it's like garlic, onions, asparagus, bananas have prebiotics
oh wow.
in it. So you can always lean on those foods, but definitely, I mean, I didn't add in a prebiotic until years later, and I still had really great results. So I would say if you want to get started with just one thing, probiotic all the way. And usually with a probiotic, depending on what kind you're taking, you can adjust, move down, depending on how you're feeling. So I always say if you have a lot of health issues, ease into it. Don't go from the bottle and be taking 4
Right.
when it
right.
says
right.
1, 2, 4. You start with 1 and do that for a while, and then you go up, but listen to your body. I always say too, if you feel like you're getting sick, increase your probiotic. Usually is a good rule of thumb as well.
Okay.
Okay.
I swear by the probiotic. I have not had, knock on wood, the vomiting flu in years, really since I started it. And back in October, I was in the hotel with my mom and my son, Jagger, both vomiting and cleaning up after them. And so we were in this confined space and it was coming from both ends, TMI, so I was cleaning up after Jagger, helping my mom. And I thought for sure I was going to get this because we were in this tiny space, no getting away, cleaning up, and I did not get sick. And I swear it's because of my probiotic.
Yeah,
You were
Maria
feeling
asked. Oh, I was just going to say, Maria asked me, and I can't remember, maybe it was when Cinco was vomiting and had the stomach bug, or I was starting to get sick, and she was like, you need to take the Plexus probiotic. I was like, I already do, girlfriend. And I think we all do, and we can get into that a little later on, but we are firm believers in the products, which we can discuss
Maria
more
was
later.
real cocky that she wasn't going to get that flu too because of the probiotic.
Oh, the
man
influenza
cold.
A, yes. That, and again, I have not been sick, but still not any of the stomach stuff. But I did get that darn flu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always say just go up, and usually you'll notice it being more mild. And
Okay. So go up. So like right now I take 4 at night.
Yeah. I take 4. You're not supposed to
usually
do
if
more
I'm
than that
sick-
though, right?
usually if you're getting sick, so it does say that usually I say if you're getting sick, go up by 1.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
okay.
good to know.
Mhm.
But just like while you're feeling sick and then go back
Yeah,
down.
and then go
Okay.
back down, yeah. And same, like, I was on a round of antibiotics, and, I ended up going as I was repairing my gut health, I did 2 while I was on a probiotic or while I was on an antibiotic, so I was like, "Well, I mean, it is like a bomb going off in my body, so but I still want to at least give my body something," but then after I completed it, then I bumped it up to 4. I was like, "I'm gonna speed up this healing." So yeah, if you're feeling sick or increase in sugar cravings, or just feeling off, I always say just go up,
Okay.
Okay.
depending on
Good
where
to
you're
know.
at. Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
All right. So do stress and like sleep issues, how do those affect your gut health? I know
Yeah.
that you've
So
talked like stress definitely is
yeah,
going to
so think about it. If you're not sleeping, right? What is that doing? That's another thing that feeds the bad bacteria. And then same with
your
stress.
body can't heal.
And your
Yeah.
body's not healing, right?
Right.
And so your cortisol levels are going to increase because really when you're sleeping, there's so much healing that's taking place.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're not sleeping, your gut health is going to be impacted, your cortisol levels are going to be up, and then that's going to lead into potentially different health issues.
Yeah.
And
For
a lot
sure.
of times it is tied into the state of our gut health, but then of course you don't have the healing because it's not taking place because your body is not relaxed at all.
Yeah.
And going back
Makes
to just
sense.
thinking back on the amount of the melatonin that is produced
Okay.
in
Yeah.
our gut
Mhm.
too.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm going to double question you again because I thought another one. Answer them together because they kind of go hand in hand. So, my first question is, what's your take on cleanses or detox programs for gut health? And then I want to know if you can give us just like, I know you eat different things every day, but like a typical day, like what it looks like, just some examples of what you would eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Mhm. So I personally love a good cleanse. And I will say I'm pretty healthy. And so, depending on your health, so obviously, if you're pregnant, have tons of health issues on a lot of medications, you absolutely should probably consult your doctor before adding in a cleanse. I definitely don't advise if you are pregnant to go on a cleanse. I would say there's other ways to best support you and the body in a healthy manner. And so here's some benefits that I wrote down from doing a detox or cleanse. So the one I do is 3 days, and it's like a metabolic reset. It gets at a cellular level, and it also helps to cleanse the kidneys and liver. And I think that's really huge. For me, I eat pretty clean, I exercise, all of that, but I just need a jump start, because of the stress going on in the world and, just through the day and day hustle and bustle. For me, it's really important just to hit that jump start. So I do one usually once a month just because I love how I feel. And so some things that a good cleanse can provide is supports kidney and liver function, improves digestion and gut health, increases energy levels, decreases inflammation, improves skin clarity, mental clarity and mood, and it can also help with healthy weight management. So here are just some natural tips that you guys can do that I would recommend. So increasing water intake, adding fresh lemon, great. You should be, good rule of thumb is getting half of your body weight in ounces every day. Fiber-rich foods like fruits and vegetables, limiting processed foods, of course, alcohol, limiting the added sugar, anti-inflammatory foods like berries, leafy greens, and nuts. So these are all really huge. I want to go back to provide some additional tips to, I think, Chelsea, was it your question about the stress and sleep?
Mhm.
So this is one thing I oftentimes talk about, and I think it's really important that if you're not sleeping well and you're under a lot of stress, where are your health deposits? What are you doing for you? And I always encourage people to audit like their sleep. Like, what are you doing 2 hours before you go to bed? Are you doom scrolling? Are you watching TV?
Mhm.
What are you doing to care for you? And I listened, I think it was the Mel Robbins podcast, that a person that
Like
sleeps
him.
really good, a person with no sleep issues, it typically takes a person with no sleep issues at least 30 minutes to go to sleep. So if you're trying to go to bed at 10, you probably need to start winding down at 9:30. And I always say, put your phone on do not disturb at a certain time. And you can always allow certain people to come through if they are calling
Mhm.
and need to reach you. So I always do that. I listen to a sleep guided meditation. Sound machines are really good too. The other thing I do is just look at your sleep environment. How is that? And then get a good book. Like The Let Them is a really great book that I'm currently reading at bedtime. Get a good book and read a few pages. I try to always read 10 pages before I go to bed. And so that's a great way to unwind. And it's a health deposit. You're putting something, you're filling your cup
Mhm.
ultimately.
Right.
And so I always encourage that and just kind of audit your sleep and figure out where you can improve. Also, walking is really huge. There was a study that was done that showed that getting a walk in is equivalent, if not better, than a dose of Prozac.
Are you serious?
Oh,
Okay,
really?
I believe it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, can
I
you
don't know
say
why
that
I said,
again?
"Are you serious?" I totally
so
believe.
going for a walk is equivalent, if not better, than a dose of Prozac. There are so
Wow.
many huge
Wow.
benefits of walking and getting some form of movement in, but that can also help with sleep. And
Mhm.
so I always say 10 minutes is better than no minutes. So
Right.
you time block that in for you. You have that appointment with you because you deserve
Mhm.
that health deposit for you so you can show up for you, but others in your life because you cannot pour from an empty cup. The
Mhm.
other thing I also heard that I always love is writing down, how do you feel before you get movement in? How do you feel after? Having the after and the pros, having that somewhere as a reminder to you on the days that you don't feel like showing up, why you're showing up.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
I just kind of wanted to share that as a side note. So sorry, I backtrack with that, but I think that's
That's okay.
No,
important
That was
just to
that's
good.
yeah,
provide
no, that was
yeah,
great.
Michelle,
and
that
everything.
was so good. That was really, really good. And I just wanted to say, I wasn't walking, and I've talked about this before, when the sun wasn't out, and I could
Mhm.
tell such a difference, and I felt just so
Mhm.
much, you know, more low energy. I just didn't feel as upbeat and as happy as I normally do. Ever since the weather's been nicer and the sun's been out, I feel like a new person. Like the spring weather has
Yeah.
me. I went for a walk
Yeah.
yesterday and I like had a natural high when I came back. I mean, I just felt
Yeah.
so great,
Mhm.
and it's
Right.
just that it's just the sunshine and the walk and the, positive thoughts. And it's just that is my favorite form of self-care.
And it's a great time. I always hear from people like, well, I work a lot at work. I'm like, but is it intentional movement time for you? Time for you to decompress, time for you to reflect. And if you're super busy, and I know a lot of you, all of you are super busy
Mhm.
as mamas and stuff. And so I always say, have that time, do your gratitude, reflect on what went well for the day. What are you proud of yourself? Going for a
Yeah.
walk, whatever it may be, but that's a great time to decompress. Listen to a good podcast like this one. And I just feel like we deserve that. Everyone deserves that. And that's one thing I wish I would have been told when I was a teenager is how important movement is.
Yeah.
And we oftentimes think, oh, I have to go for a run or I have to do the strenuous workout. Just going for a walk is
Right.
huge.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I can't stress that enough. And that can be just a huge tool to help aid in a great night's sleep is
Mhm.
getting that movement in. So I always say time block that appointment in for you, look at your week ahead and figure out when can you show up for you.
Yeah. Love that.
I really
So
like that.
that's what I have with that. And then what I typically eat in a day, it really varies. Um, I think the biggest tip I have, if you're listening, is to be cognizant with what you're purchasing. I know if I get the little Easter Starburst eggs, I will tear through the whole thing. I
Same.
know I cannot have any self-control no matter how my sugar cravings are in check. If it's there, I will eat it. So I always say, be mindful with what you're purchasing. Like
Mhm.
I get fruits, vegetables, my protein. I love doing scramble bowls for the week. So I put like sweet potatoes, farm fresh eggs. I do bacon. I'll add spinach. I just add all these vegetables to it. And that's a great thing that I love. I love protein shakes. I got a whole protein kick with protein pancakes one week.
Oh
It kind of
man, I'm
changes
obsessed
from
with those right
there and
now.
there. Yeah, and then the other thing that for me, I do 410s and I love to cook, but I noticed I just was so drained. I actually do the factor meals and I really
Oh,
love
yeah.
them. I would love to support someone local and who does like, the
Ooh,
pre
Alex.
meals and stuff.
Mhm. Yeah. I
But
have a friend that does local meals, but it's not
yeah.
necessarily clean eating, but you can pick healthy meals if you want.
Yeah. And so for me, that was great because I could pick, foods high in protein or keto meals, like whatever it may be. But I think the biggest, I don't really follow anything exact. It's just, I do a lot of protein bars. Costco has a really great Kirkland's brand protein bar that has cleanish ingredients that I love. I do a lot of salads. It really just changes from day to day, but I also treat myself too. If I want the top chips and salsa, I'm going to eat the chips and salsa. If I want the fries, I'm
Every
going to eat the
time.
fries every time,
Yeah.
And so I think it's finding that balance and just listening to what you're hungry for. I also really love protein bowls. I always encourage getting a good protein powder, but also look at the protein powder, make sure it doesn't have sucralose. A lot of times they sneak that in. So I'll do like a scoop of protein powder and then I do like plain Greek yogurt because that has a lot of good protein in it.
Mhm.
And then I'll do like different fruits. And on top of that, I do like honey. And they have really great grainless granola because a lot of
Oh.
times your grains can cause inflammation or, it can be an inflammatory food. So I always get grainless. At least for me, I noticed that is one thing from doing rounds of Whole30
Mhm.
that when I introduced it back, like anything with whole grains usually disrupts my gut to some degree. And so I use grainless granola. So that's usually my
So
go-to,
does
but it
that just have,
really,
like, nuts in it? What's grainless granola?
yeah, it just I don't
Just, like,
know
nuts?
exactly the ingredients, but it doesn't have the grains. It's just like, yeah, the grainless. But yeah, it has a little bit of that. And then so that's kind of my go-to. I don't really follow anything exact. I'm no help. I can tell you my favorite brands. Like I love the Siete brand. They have
Oh, I
great
love that
like
brand too.
yeah, they have grain-free. I think it's paleo. And that's typically what I try to follow is paleo style foods. And then staying on top of water intake. And I always tell people, get your emotional support water bottle. Good rule of thumb is half of your body weight in ounces daily. If you're not a water drinker, the Stir brand is really good as a flavoring for the water, and it's sweetened with stevia, which is usually, if you're going to look for a sweetener, it's plant-based. So stevia is usually on the safe side that you can add in. And so the Stir brand's really great, the Psychiatric brand. But then with the water, there are these water bottles where you can put fruit in the middle.
Circle. Oh, no, I'm thinking of
But that is one that people can do. Yes, I know what you're talking about. But when I first got started, I don't think the circle was up. This would have been years ago when Diet Cherry Coke was my water intake. I would do, because I didn't like water, and so I would do tons of fruit. So I would do like strawberries and lemons and limes, and it really made me excited to drink my water. And then over time, it just improved. And I always say, just make that water goal. If you're drinking 0 water, start with 40 ounces and then work your way up. And I usually will set water goals for myself during the day. Like if I work out, I'm going to get 32 ounces in. Before lunch, I want to get another 32 in. And so I just kind of set these goals, and then I do like sparkling water. And so then once I hit my water goal, then I can treat myself with that, and then have fun with mocktails too. Mocktails are really great. I like to do the calm powder at nighttime is also really a great option to help aid in relaxation and sleep. And then tart cherry juice is really good, adding fresh lemon lime with sparkling water. So good. And I put it in a wine glass, and that's really great. But I always say, just have fun with the foods you have, listen to your body. But there's usually really, really great recipes out there where you don't have to feel deprived. And the CHA brand, I feel like, has helped me tremendously because they have great tortillas. They have great tortilla chips. And so you're going to have your cleaner ingredients with that. So you can still get the crunch if you like chips and stuff like that. So I know that's not super helpful, but
no,
it's very helpful.
Cinnamon ones are so good.
Yeah, and you can also add that to your protein bowl too.
I eat the whole bag. The CHA cinnamon chips. Oh, they're so good.
But in college, Maria and I were also buying the fat-free chips, and we would have the whole bag gone before we got to the apartment.
Wherever we were going. Oh my God.
It's fine.
Except we were doing good.
They have pretty much no calories in them.
Okay, so before we do our pains and gains, Michelle, do you want to tell us just a little bit about Plexus and the products? I think all 5 of us, yes, we're on here. We all use Plexus brand. I have for years and years, and I'm going to hit you up after this and talk to you about some new options that you might have for me, just because I'm really trying to take my health up a notch. And I told Gary, I was like, you're going to start thinking that I'm like one of those. You're not going to believe me if I keep saying it, but I was like, no more added sugar start come Monday. Like, I'm really going to get serious about it. I've gotten serious about it a lot. And I'll go like 3 weeks and completely cut it out. But it's like we talked about having the balance. And I think that's where I kind of go wrong. So,
it's usually all or nothing usually. Like maybe if you let yourself have it a little bit, you could do it longer.
Exactly. So tomorrow I'm going to start getting really serious again. The weather's nice. I have no excuses. But I just want to feel great. And when I eat better, I feel better. So if you would talk to us a little bit about Plexus, and then I'll DM you and get you some.
You're good. So Plexus is the company that I started with and didn't know anything about gut health, but they're kind of truly the OG when it comes to gut health for a company. And so I started with 3 products, and that's still, if you're wanting to get started with your gut health journey, that is where I would start. It's called Triplex. It comes with BioCleanse, ProBio 5, which I truly say if you could pick one product, it'd be ProBio 5 all the way. A good pair is ProBio 5 and BioCleanse. They work synergistically together to get your gut health on track. And BioCleanse, I always add this kind of to the analogy of the probiotic. It takes the trash out during the day. It's like your morning worker that shows up and it's like, whoa, ProBio 5 has been partying all night long. I got to take the trash out. And so it's taking the trash to the dumpster. So that's how BioCleanse kind of comes into the mix. And then the pink drink is also really great. And I kind of shot it down because I didn't start my journey to lose weight, and it's called phlegm. And so we think, okay, well, I mean, what is it doing? And we think straight to weight loss. But it's really great because it helps to balance your hormones. It burns fat, holds on to muscle. And I always say it should be called your body balancer. It helps to balance your blood sugar levels, which is huge because think about it. We're on a roller coaster every single day, no matter if we're diabetic or not. And so that's one thing with the pink drink, it levels it out. Okay. So you can drink it anytime during the day because it doesn't have any artificial sweeteners in it. And so that's really, I think, the three pillars, right? Is getting the inflammation in check, getting your gut health in check, and then getting your blood sugar stabilized.
And
those
Sorry,
three
Michelle.
things are what that combo really hits on.
I was just going to add, so that's what you started me on, and was the triplex. And I felt so good when I was drinking the pink drink. So good. I had so much energy. I didn't have that on edge feeling ever. And I don't know why I stopped drinking the pink drink.
And that has a prebiotic in it too.
Okay. And I still do my BioCleanse and my probiotic and some other supplements, and my pantry's full of the pink drink. And so I'm going to get started again. Yes, I just have not. And I noticed
I was
going to
say,
difference.
you can send it to me because I love the pink drink. And I got some again at the beginning of the year. And then when I ran out of it, I just got the BioCleanse and the probiotic, which I always keep those regularly. But now I'm going to get the pink.
Yes,
and that
I'm gonna
one's
get
like your
started
jack
again.
of all trades. It does a little bit of everything. And I discredited it for a long time until I ran out, and I was a monster. I noticed my mood was all over the place, and it made sense, right? It's stabilizing.
Yeah,
So if you have fluctuations with your blood sugar levels, you're going to notice, just your crashes. So think about, why do you get a 2 p.m. crash? Or why do you have mood fluctuations? Yeah, it could be your gut health, but also there are so many things that's disrupting our blood sugar levels throughout the day. And so it really helps to find that balance and level, which is huge. And so that is what I would say. And I always say simplify. Don't get too overwhelmed with all the products. That's a great place to start. It's just the gut health combo. That's what I started with. And you guys, I wasn't even, going for weight loss. But if you look at when I started to now, it's night and day. And then from there, it just helped me make healthier choices. And I never really worked out in college at all whatsoever. And I think Maria and I would go for walks here and there, but I was not ever working out. And now it's helped with my endurance. I love to work out now. It's just really has helped me create a healthier life, but I feel like not forcing myself. It's like, it's like I want
You crave it.
Want
You crave
to,
it.
yeah.
I crave it. Yeah, I love it. And I feel like that has been just a huge tool for me.
I think we all
Yeah.
take the BioCleanse, and I know that Alex is so stubborn and she won't put it on subscription for whatever reason.
I was just gonna say that I'm
and she runs out and
freaking
Catherine-
out.
No, she
because I'm
gets
gonna
so
run out.
stressed if she runs out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm supposed to
she
run
gets
out
so
tomorrow, and I'm waiting for it to come.
But she's been on it for years.
Since like 2018.
But won't put it on auto ship.
I know. Well, actually, the last time I ordered it, which was a week ago today, which I do have a little bone to pick with Plexus, is that it continues to be, the shipping cost is higher and the time frame is much more than it used to be. It used to be 2 to 3 days shipping for $7, and now it's 7 to 10 business days for $10, and there's nothing. Yeah, I know. So I'm probably gonna run
maybe
out.
if you
I'm
put
not
on
happy about it.
subscription, you wouldn't.
That's why you just get a stock
know.
supply and you get 4 bottles, and then you get the benefits of the 4 bottles, and then it'll get you for 4 months, and then you just order again 4 months. It'll save you on shipping, and then you get.
I don't know why I've never done that.
Yeah,
Because you're stubborn.
I know. I did try to do the subscription, but it looked like the only thing I could do was monthly, and it's a 45-day supply. So I'm like, I don't want to order one every month.
No, you can change the date and just push it out. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Michelle's going to get you hooked up.
She's gonna
Okay.
overthink it.
Yeah,
Alex is
next time-
going to
Well, I
overthink.
literally never thought to just buy more than one at a time. That's so silly of
It
me. I
saves,
don't know
it
why.
saves, and then you can get the perks of.
You know
of
you're
that,
going
to
so.
use it.
That's
And
so silly.
also,
Yeah.
Michelle, whenever there's dollar shipping or something, hit Alex up. I always forget to
Please.
tell her.
Yeah.
before you
Nobody
do it.
ever. Chelsea's like, by the way, it expired yesterday. And
Yeah, Chelsea. No,
Hit
Chelsea
me
will
up,
tell
too.
us.
I never pay
She'll be like,
attention to
hey,
that.
there's a big deal going on with Plexus. And then we'll go and order and it'll be like, promoted
late.
yesterday.
No, I said, and it ends at midnight, and it was 9:00.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think I was already asleep. But yeah, I'll report back if my plexus comes tomorrow, or I call it my poop pills because it helps me stay regular.
It
So,
does. And for all of our listeners, we will tag Michelle. Do you prefer in your Instagram or Facebook Messenger in case they want to reach out to you for products? What do you prefer? And we'll tag it on our
Messenger's
Instagram page.
probably the best. They can
For Facebook
always,
Messenger?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's perfect.
Awesome.
Okay.
And I will
Thank you so much, Michelle. You were
Yeah.
very
Yes, thank
informative.
you.
Yes.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Michelle,
yes.
do you want to give us your pain and gain for the week?
I forgot to
we won't
prepare
put you
you.
on.
You
We
can go
won't put you
last
on
if
the
you
spot
want.
if you don't want to.
So
You don't have to go first if you need time to think about it.
no, I got it. So do you guys usually do pain first?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
My pain is I didn't know the time changed in Arizona. Or no, in
No,
here.
it doesn't
Okay, so
change.
they don't
Yeah.
participate in Arizona, but I was flying back from Arizona.
Uh-huh.
Monday night, I had to be in the office Tuesday, and I flew in at 1:00 in the morning, not realizing that the time had changed.
Oh, wow.
And so I was trying to get used to the time change and all of that. And so it was been a rough week.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm finally back. And then gain is I finished out this week of work. And everyone that I need
Yes.
to see. And so I would say that's a gain that I made it through Tuesday after being a little sleep
Yes.
deprived. So
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
my goodness.
the time change this time I feel like has been a doozy a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Okay. So I'll do my pains and gains. So my pain for the week is just that like the weather keeps going from hot to cold to hot to cold, and it is so messing with like my allergies and my sinuses. I didn't put the connection together at first, and actually Jordan and my mother-in-law figured it out, but on Tuesday I was outside with Foster and I came inside and all of a sudden my ear was like plugged up, and it felt like, when you're like on the airplane and your ears like popping because of like going up an elevation, or if you're like in the mountains and it goes up, but I couldn't unpop it. And I was like explaining what it felt like. And I felt like I had pressure in my head. And both my husband and my mother-in-law have a lot of like sinus issues. And they told me to take sinus pressure medicine. And I did. And it worked. But as soon as the medicine wore off, then my ear popped again.
Really?
Dang.
Yeah. But it was also like meteorologists were saying that like the barometric pressure or something was like really bad right now, and that has something to do with it. I don't know, but it's definitely the weather. And so I've been taking like rotating sinus medicine, allergy medicine, just to like keep that all at bay this week. And it was like snowing last night, even though it was like
Ugh.
Shut
yes,
up.
it was like
Yeah.
spitting snow last night, but then it
That's
was
what
70s.
my sister said. She said it went from rain and then they left where they were at and all of a sudden it was snowing.
Yeah, yeah, and
Dang.
tomorrow is like high of 74 or something. Like, I don't know what's going on with this Kansas weather, but it needs to stop. So, anyway, that was my pain. And then my gain for the week is that on Friday we went over to our good friend Courtney and Michael's house. They had us over for dinner. So my birthday and my husband's birthday are both in March, and then their birthdays are both in December. So we always host them for like a joint birthday in December, and they host us in March. And we met them when they moved to the neighborhood in 2021. And they're just some of our best friends. So it was really fun to hang out with them. The kids love to play and just kind of kick off the weekend. So that's it for me. Chelsea?
All right. So my pain for the week is that I was letting my bread rise in the oven, and I always put a note on the oven to not start the oven while it's in there, and I didn't.
It's her baby.
And I started the dang oven to preheat for dinner, and I opened it to put the dinner in, and there's my bread with my freaking the towels like all burnt up. I was so mad.
But she's
Oh,
turning it
man.
into focaccia bread.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna
Oh,
turn it into focaccia. So
Yeah.
I took yeah. So
that'll
that's
still
my
be
Turn a
good.
pain into a gain.
yeah. And my gain, I think, is just that it's spring break coming up and get to take some time off of work, and I only have to work one day this week. I've been working overtime and working 3.5 days a week, and it's really catching up to me. And I'm not happy about it. So, but
Nice.
yeah. What about you, Catherine?
My pain for the week was also the time change. And I don't think I've ever noticed how much I I love it at night and I hate it in the morning because I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
having, the sunlight out longer and we can take family walks when I pick the babies up from school. We have time and it's still light out. But the mornings are rough and I don't think I've ever noticed it as much as I do now.
Yeah, it was really
Mhm.
dark. I didn't realize it
Yeah.
being so dark before.
Yeah.
And it's like all the progress I made on my morning routine is like now gone out the window because I have such a hard time waking up when it's still dark.
Mhm.
So that's my pain. My gain was having Michelle on here today. It was such an amazing episode. Michelle,
Yay.
you are just so sharp and so smart and just so lovely, and you were so well prepared, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And you
Yes,
have
We're
no
thank
debate
you.
with
cousins,
me.
that's why.
I am that's why.
You can tell she gets her public speaking talking from me.
But you are wonderful,
I
and you have
taught her
really
everything she
motivated
knows.
me.
I agree. I agree,
Michelle, you
Michelle.
do such a
So wonderful.
fantastic job.
Thank you.
What about you, Maria?
I'm gonna say my pain was this week we had Thursday and Friday off for spring break, and the older boys and Derek went to Lincoln for state basketball, and so it was just me and Jagger, and that's not the pain. It was great, but we went to our store downtown after we had coffee and breakfast at Dragonfly, and he talked me into letting him get this like squishy ball that has like not slime, but like a filler in it.
I know what you mean.
And it like squeezes through like the black net.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Scarlett chewed it up, huh?
nope. I happened and I told him, I'm like, you better not pop that. And especially I was so worried about him popping it in our vehicle on the way home.
Mhm.
And he kept saying, are you going to be mad at me? You're going to ground me? I'm like, yes, I'm going to be in so much trouble. Well, I was on the phone with a phone call that I'd been waiting on about we have to redo our bathroom. And all of a sudden Jagger's like bawling and he's like running to the kitchen sink and it's everywhere. And I look over and it's all over the carpet, all over the
Oh.
couch. It's everywhere. And
Oh.
he was so distraught and he did not get grounded and he did not get in trouble. And I really did not even get upset because it was truly, he was just like squeezing it and it just went
That's
everywhere.
crazy. I've never seen one of those break.
I have.
Yes.
That's why
Yes.
I
You
already
have.
do. Yeah.
Yes. And when we were checking out, she did say, she goes, be careful with this because somebody brought it in and wanted a refund because
Oh,
I'm like,
they're
oh
defective.
my gosh. Yeah. Well, I don't know. But it was bad. But I got our carpet cleaner out and I did have to work on it for a while, but it all came out and it came out
Nice.
the couch. And yeah, can't even tell it happened. But so it was kind of a fiasco for a little bit. And my gain would be we didn't really have anything going on this weekend. The first time in a really long time, and all 5 of us were home. And
Nice.
it was really nice.
I love that. Family time.
Yes.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for joining us for the podcast you didn't know you needed. Now you know. So we hope you'll join us next week on Growing Pains and Gains, where we will have another pop culture episode.
Whoop whoop.